Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Books and Banter, your Medina Library's video blog as to what the experts are reading. I'm your host Eric Lucius. Happy New Year. Also, world's best boss, my mug says. Happy to be here. Today we're just going to talk about one book. We're going to mess with the format with the show a little bit. I feel when I've been doing 2, 3, 4 books, I feel like I'm speed reading. By the end of this show, I'm just exhausted. So we're going to cut it back. We're going to talk about Two Graves, Preston and Child's new book. Very excited about this one. Preston and Child, big name authors, very iconic bestsellers. This is the third and the final book in the Helen trilogy, the 12th in the Pendergast series. Aloysius Pendergast is the FBI agent. Love him as a character. He's been developed over the 12 books. He's very eccentric. He uses like obscure science to create or to solve his cases. Just very, very different. He's an action hero. He's got a little Sherlock Holmes element to him, which is very cool. Very intelligent, very mysterious, which all makes for a very, very interesting character. Love the books. Lincoln and Child have been around for a while. They've written other books outside the Pendergast series. As I mentioned, very, very iconic covers. I love the appearance of these books. The Preston and Child, as you can see, all their books kind of have this really nice, iconic front font, which is really cool. You can also tell that they're big authors because on the back, you get the big picture of them on the back cover. I'm going to contrast this with Dick Wolf, all you Law and Order fans, the creator of Law and Order. He has a new series which has a lot of buzz. This is his first book, but you can see on the back, it's just covered with blurbs from other famous authors. You got Lee Child, Brad Thor, Lisa Gardner. On the front, Harlan Coben endorsing him, Michael Conley. You can tell when you see a book like that that's more of a new author. When you get your picture on the back cover, like Michael Conley as well, big picture, you know you've arrived. So there's a little tip for you there. So anyway, we got Two Graves today. The other thing is you don't have to read these in order. Another thing that Preston and Child do that's really cool, I think, is in their little page where they list all their books. You probably can't see it too well, but they actually put down here, you don't have to read them in order, but there's a couple that do follow a certain pattern. So you don't have to read these in order. They do develop the characters over the course of the book, especially Pendergast. I didn't read them in order, but there are a couple trilogies, and as I mentioned, the third in the Helen trilogy, which is the newest, obviously. So just a nice little guide, I think, that the authors do really well. So the appearance, when you're approaching this book, it's pretty thick. It's about 480 plus pages. But what's really nice is really, really short chapters, which tells me that it's going to be a pretty quick read. There's going to be action, that the story's going to move along at a pretty good pace, and it does. You can tear through this book, 100 pages at a time will fly by in no time at all. So it's not one that you're going to get slogged down in, which is really nice. So the story, in general, is Pendergast is on the hunt with the Helen trilogy. Helen, his wife, which he thought she was dead in a freak line accident a couple books ago. Actually, towards the beginning of the series, you find out about this. So he's on the hunt for her. He finds her. She's kidnapped by these kind of neo-Nazi group. He chases them around, ends up in Mexico. There's a lot of different plot lines going on, though. There's a lot of familiar characters in this book. It brings back, for fans of the series, D'Augusta, who's in the NYPD detective. He's got a little storyline going on. It brings back Proctor, Constance Green, which is Pendergast's ward. You have Corey Swanson, who showed up in a book a long time ago. You have a storyline with her. A lot of convergent storylines. And you'll see some of the critics did not like that. This got really, really good reviews from the big publishers. But as you go online and read some people, they didn't like some of the storylines. I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. So the Pendergast lines, he's chasing around his wife who's been kidnapped. You have D'Augusta, who's investigating some grisly murders in New York City, which is kind of his classic storyline going back to Relic. Relic was their first big book, which was made into a pretty popular movie as well. And in that book, he enlists Pendergast's help. They find that there's some DNA that the murderer has that is shared with Pendergast, so that's kind of a thing that I think is going to be explored in the future. You have the Gothic storyline with Constance Ward, who there's a doctor out to prove that she is 130 years old. There's a lot of supernatural elements in this book. Some people aren't going to be real fond of that. The most boring plot line to me was the Corey Swanson one, who's on the hunt for her long-lost father, who's involved in some type of frame-up for a robbery job that he did. So you have all these storylines going on, and the Pendergast one by far the best. The part with D'Augusta, that's pretty good. I like the Gothic one with Constance Green. The Corey Swanson one, I'm not too fond of. This book moves along. Pendergast doesn't waste, or I'm sorry, Preston Child don't waste time with words. You're not going to get this thing about, oh, Pendergast stepped out on his balcony on a lovely New York City afternoon with the skyline, blue, green, gray. You don't get any of that. It's action. It's thriller right from the beginning. He doesn't mess around with character development, which has been done in other books. He doesn't mess around with settings. It's really, really plot driven, which is really nice. Little supernatural, little outlandish. You got to suspend belief a couple of times. That's okay. It's not over the top for me. I like that part. And that's about all I really want to talk about with the plot. There is a nice little vehicle throw in. As I mentioned, neo-Nazis are involved. There's with Mengele, the Nazi doctor, his experiments with twins back during World War II is a nice little vehicle for the story as well. Just a little appetizer for you, just to get you a little interested in the plot. Comparing it to a wine, you know, the first sip of a wine with this book, it's got a great front palate. Gets you right away. It hooks you, very flavorful, if you will. As you get to the mid palate, it really fills out really nicely. Really, you know, it's a little bit juicy, a lot of flavor. Really coats your tongue, if you will. There are some odd flavors, some good and some bad, and that comes from those kind of convergent storylines. There are some good ones and some bad ones. Finish is very satisfying. It's clean. It's a little off because of how this book ends. I thought it was a little amateurish, just a little bit, with one of the plot lines, which I think is setting up future books. To me, it just didn't feel right. I think they can do much better. I've read betters from them. For me, a wine was white all the way. A white wine off the beaten path, like an Orvetto, it's an Italian wine, a Gadeo, a Spanish wine, or especially, you heard it here first, Ferment, which is from Hungary, a wonderful wine. If you like especially Gewürztraminers, maybe oaky Chardonnays, white wines that are kind of bigger, with lots of different flavors, these are some nice little wines that you're going to enjoy. You can probably find Orvetto at your Giant Eagles, at your Buehler's, those type of places, but the other ones you probably have to go to a nice wine store for. So that's it. I'm reading a couple other things. Michael Connelly, as I mentioned, I'm about halfway through. Wonderful book there. The other big one I have right now, Jared Diamond, author of Collapse, Gun, Germs, and Steel. Very popular author. This one, The World Until Yesterday, is about primitive societies and how we can learn, what lessons we can take from them. He's always a good read, usually pretty quick for as big a book as he has here. I think that's about it. A couple good programs coming up here at the library, especially coming up in February. We have a whole month that all of our branches will have programs about art. February 16th here, we have Art in Action with about 25 artists actually doing their work here in the library. It's during the ICE Festival. Just swing by. I think that's about it. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you around the library. Drop me an email. Let me know. Let me know what you want to hear. Let me know what you like me. Let me know that you hate me. Make me feel alive. Just let me know that you're out there. Wonderful. We'll see you in the stacks.